Today's episode is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering my listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/unicorns talk and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/unicorns talk to get your free audiobook today. Welcome to Unicorns Talk Podcast, your weekly girl talk about Black women, our healing, and manifestation. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, your life enhancement coach, and together we're going to live, laugh, and learn to love all of life's little messes. While I am a licensed clinician, please keep in mind that this show is not a substitute for your own relationship with a mental health provider. Let's go. Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 50 of Unicorns Talk Podcast. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, and I am recording my very first episode from Germany, which is kind of exciting. I arrived here at about 8 o'clock Sunday morning, German time, which was like 2 o'clock in the morning back home in Eastern time. So there's like a 6-hour time difference. And let me tell y'all, jet lag is real. Like, it's so real. My first plan was just to stay awake for the whole day and just like kind of try to start fresh, and then maybe like that would help me to get adjusted faster to the time change. So that was the plan. But girl, my body was like, no bitch, that's not what we gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Around 10 o'clock, girl, 10 o'clock in the morning, I was so tired. I could barely keep my eyes open. Like, the struggle was very, very real. My whole body felt tired. And so I ended up taking a nap for like 2 or 3 hours. And I really felt like I could have slept the whole day away. But I had a visit with a young lady who I met in Japan. Hey, Ty. And she now lives in Germany. So she came to see me, and we went to a late lunch, kind of like a late lunch, early dinner kind of thing. We recorded an episode about being Black and abroad, which was a really good episode. So y'all be on the lookout for that soon. And so far it's been a pretty good experience. I'm feeling a little sick, I ain't gonna lie. This German weather done jumped up in me, girl, and is doing the absolute most. But and still I rise or whatever, But so far it has been a pretty good experience. I just kind of been taking it all in and noticing the differences between how things are done here and how things are done back at home. I paying attention to the things I like, the things I don't like, the things I want to learn more about. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been interesting, to say the least. One of the things that have really stood out for me is that, like, people stare a lot, like, there's been a lot of stares, just kind of like as I'm walking around, or like before I made it to my hotel, my permanent hotel. I was staying at the hotel by the airport, and so like I was just walking around the airport and exploring and things like that, because they have like there's like a mall or something that's attached to the airport, and there's also like a train station. So when Ty was there, she and I just kind of walked around and had lunch and stuff. And so as we were just minding our own Black ass business, I got a lot of people staring at me, which was very odd to me. But I'm kind of used to people staring, because I do tend to have that effect on people. Like, I haven't quite figured out yet if the stares were because I'm just a beautiful Black woman, or if it's because I'm a plus size woman, or if they're just interested. Like, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. You know what I'm saying? But they had this one man that was staring so hard, girl. He actually spilled his coffee on me as I was walking past him. Like, he was so embarrassed. He was like he didn't mean to do it. It was like his coffee just jumped up out of his hands, girl, because he was staring so hard. And I said, well, hey, how you doing or whatever. And I think that caught him off guard. But he's not the first man to trip over himself while looking at me. So I'm just going to say that he was captivated by the experience that is me. But for real, it was like that coffee just jumped out of his hands and it exploded everywhere. But I know he didn't do it on purpose, so I didn't trip. Okay. I decided that I'm going to be sharing my experiences while I'm in Germany with y'all here on the show. So it's not going to be like an official segment or anything like that, but just whenever I feel like it, like, I don't know, maybe it'll make me feel like y'all are here with me, but it also might encourage you to get your passport, all right, and get out there and see this world for yourself. So I'm going to be sharing my experiences with y'all. And so y'all going to be in Germany with me, all right? Okay. So make sure, if you haven't already, please be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you're listening right now. Use the hashtag Unicorns Talk Pod across all of your social media to let me know that you're listening, and make sure that you're sharing your stories and on your timeline. You can feel free to tag me at Latrice Sampson Richards directly, or you can tag the show at Unicorns Talk Pod so I can see it. And I'm definitely going to say, hey, girl, hey, or whatever. Okay? All right. So, listen, today is the final installment of our three-part series on The Wiz. And today actually is the 40th anniversary of the motion picture release of The Wiz. So, October 24th is 1978 is the exact day that the movie released in theaters. And so that's how I knew that it was the right time to do this series with y'all, because the stars just kind of aligned perfectly for this. Like, what are the odds that, I release on Wednesdays, and on this Wednesday is like the actual 40th anniversary? Like, I feel like it's kismet. I feel like it's supposed to happen. So happy anniversary to The Wiz, all right? So today we are talking about the Emerald City. I want to start off by saying, first and foremost, that the Emerald City musical sequence in The Wiz is one of the most beautifully orchestrated, coordinated, and executed production sequences of all time. Like, for real, for real. I mean, it's just like, it's fucking awesome. Like, for real, for real. It's like so 1978, but it's also like really timeless at the same time. Like, I absolutely love it. Quincy Jones is hands down a musical genius. You know what I'm saying? And so, I don't have a problem with him spilling everybody tea these days, because, he's spilling all the tea these days. Quincy said he done got old, girl, and he just letting it all hang out. But, I don't have a problem with him spilling all the tea, because he knows things that no other human being in this world knows. Quincy Jones has been in the music and entertainment business for so long, and he's been at the top of his game since he entered the scene. Like, he has always been at the top of his game since he started. I actually have a blog, as you all know, the Black Unicorn Project. And so my music curator for Trey Payadu, he actually just did a piece on Quincy Jones for the blog. And he was talking about everything that Quincy Jones has contributed to our society. And it's a really good piece. So y'all check that out at theblackunicornproject.com. I'm going to make sure I put a direct link to his piece in the show notes so y'all can get to it a little easier. But make sure y'all check that out, okay? But anyway, back to The Wiz. The Emerald City has always been very alluring to me, because it's always brought up like some mixed feelings for me. On one hand, I absolutely love how it displays the elegance and the poise and the crispness of just black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we clean up well, right? And I absolutely love to see us kind of spread our feathers, like how those male peacocks just spread their feathers and put on a show, right? Like, whenever we get a chance to put on a show, I love that about us. I love the pageantry of it all. I love seeing my people with our heads held high, feeling unfuckwittable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. But at the same time, if you listen to the actual words that they're singing throughout the entire sequence, you realize that this show, which is often the case, is being put on as a result of respectability politics, which is something that frustrates me to no end. Okay. The fact that, like, the reality is that these beautifully crafted people, because black people are just beautifully crafted people, right? Like, so the fact that these people, my people, have willingly given up their power to self identify, right, to an entity that could not care less about them and who in reality has no actual power of its own to do anything to help them, right? So today we're talking about the Emerald City and what it teaches us about respectability politics. All right. So just so we're all on the same page, respectability politics is a term that was coined by Evelyn Brooks in her 1993 book, Righteous Discontent, a woman's movement in the Black Baptist Church, 1880 to 1920. Now, the generally accepted definition of respectability politics is when minority and or marginalized groups believe that they must act or behave in a certain kind of way in order to be considered worthy of favorable treatment by others. Okay? So basically, feeling like you have to present in a particular manner to be respected by society or in order to meet the standards that were put in place by kind of this faceless entity that's really fucked up in its own ways and has no business trying to tell other people how to live their lives in the first place. All right. Now, if you remember from part 2 of our series last week, which was episode 49, The Men of the Wiz, we talked about the Wiz himself, right, which was played by the late, great, and apparently ambidextrous, according to Uncle Q, Richard Pryor. All right. Richard Pryor did an amazing job bringing the Wiz to life. And I feel like he portrayed him just, accurately as the insecure, incompetent, power seeking klutz that he really is. Like I said before, the Wiz has, nothing. Like the Wiz was nothing more than a cut rate politician that accidentally landed in Oz trying to throw campaign flyers out of a hot air damn balloon. You know what I'm saying? So there was absolutely no way that this man was supposed to be leading anybody. He couldn't even get elected as dog catcher. All right. There's no way that he was supposed to be in charge or leading anybody. But when he arrived in Oz, the people were so desperate for a leader that they began to follow him, unquestioned, just because he had something that they had never seen before. That fucking hot air balloon. All right. And as a result of that, he became known as the authority on what is and isn't acceptable when it comes to fashion, when it comes to trends, when it comes to whatever, everything, right? Like any type of rule making in the land of Oz, he was immediately put in charge of that, right? So he is the proverbial they, right? They, them, everybody, right? The white people who are in power, who for hundreds of years have been telling us that who we are naturally is not good enough. The people who make the decisions about what it means to be acceptable versus what's not acceptable, who also have no damn business telling nobody how to live their own damn life. Okay? All right? But they tell us that if we just change this or if we do that, then we will be more pleasing to them and thus deserving of their respect. So what happens is that over time, those belonging to those marginalized groups begin to police themselves and each other on behalf of the power structure. So that way, they're not, they're doing this so as to not be seen as less worthy of respect by association. All right. So we start policing each other, right? And doing what we believe is the right thing to do. But in reality, it's just another pile of bullshit. All right. Now, when Dorothy and them came, like when they first arrived in the Emerald City, the gate guards was kind of giving them the stank eye. Like they wasn't even trying to let them in there. And that was solely based on what they looked like on the outside. It wasn't until they saw the gate guard saw that Dorothy had on those silver slippers, and that's when they were given admission to the Emerald City, right? So just as who they are as they are, they wasn't good enough to come in. But when he saw that they had something of value to himself or to the Wiz, that's when he decided to let them in. All right. As they entered, they were immediately captivated by the sights and sounds of the big city. I mean, remember, Dorothy was from New Jersey, right? She was super like regular degular, okay? And so she and the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and Lion, they were immediately enamored by all of the opulence and the glitz, and they wanted to just kind of jump right on in. And that's when the show started. All right. Now, I done already told y'all how I feel about the green, red, gold dance sequence. You know what I'm saying? Like that Emerald City dance sequence. Listen, I really feel like it is one of the best musical sequences of all time. Like for real, for real. But if you pay attention to the cutaway shots, which I feel like a lot of people just don't, but I pay attention to all of that kind of shit, you know? If you pay attention to the cutaway shots, you'll see that things were not so enjoyable for Dorothy and the crew, right? Sprinkled all around the Emerald City while they were doing this dance and strutting and all of that, they had these camera heads, right? That was on feet, like the head mic and the head camera and all of that. Now, when you think about it, just like a little side note or whatever, I feel like even that was kind of foreshadowing of the times, because nowadays, if it's not on camera, it didn't happen. And everybody is consumed with being on display. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like even that was indicative of, or like foreshadowing of our future, and like where we were going to be, because even that applies now. Like everybody trying to be in the camera, everybody trying to be seen, everybody trying to be accepted, you know? But anyway, every time Dorothy and them tried to get in the camera and wave or like try to be a part of what was going on, the camera head would turn away from them, or he would charge at them until eventually they were literally backed into a corner. They was barely able to see what was going on. Meanwhile, the Wiz changed the color of the moment whenever he fucking felt like it. Literally, whenever he felt like it. At one point, he actually said, I thought it over and green is dead. Until I changed my mind, the color's red. And just like that, the marker of what it meant to be acceptable, right? And what it would take in order to be accepted shifted in an instant, just because somebody said so. But they don't see it that way. The people of the Wiz, they didn't see it that way. When they talk about their love for whatever color is trending at that moment, they speak in first person, you know, very matter of factly, right? One of my favorite lines in that sequence is when they shift to red, and one of the ladies, like one of the dancing ladies, she said, I wouldn't be caught dead. And then like the music and stuff. Y'all, yeah, anyway. And if I'm caught at all, then catch me in dead red, right? As a people, they have taken ownership of their own marginalization as if it's something that they developed themselves. Like it was some idea that they came up with on themselves. Like it wasn't something that was forced upon them, right? But in reality, it's the talking head in the sky that's really calling the shots, right? In that sequence, they glorify putting the need to be trendy over everything else. They talk about giving up 1 week's feed to pay for their colored hair just to be down. Now, people always talking about those of us that live in the hood. You know what I'm saying? They always talking about people who live in the hood and how they always looking good, hair done, nails done, but how much money they spending on Jordans. You know what I'm saying? While all the while they living in the hood, they ain't got nothing and this, that, and the other, but you spending all your money trying to look good. But what you don't realize is that the same thing happens in the middle and upper economic subgroups of us, if not worse. Most often worse. How many people you know that have the nice car, the big house, the name brand wardrobe, they always taking trips, and they making sure that they post it on social media so everybody can see it, because if it ain't on social media, then it don't exist, right? All the housewife shows, the love and hip hop shows, supposedly they display what it means to have money and to be able to buy anything that you want, right? But what we all we really see is how all that money, having all the money in the world, can't buy you a decent fucking personality. All we see is how they trying to keep up with the Joneses. Look at She by Sheree, girl. Where is it? Where is it? You know? Lying and faking, trying to be something that you're not. So many of these people, they're just trying to be accepted by a society that's never going to accept them. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what you have, it's about who you are. And if you can't make peace with who you are, then you're never really going to be able to find your place in this world. Auntie Glenda told us that. You're going to continue to put on the shiny clothes and the flashy dance moves in hope that you can cover up the fact that you will never measure up to a society that was not built for you to begin with. All right? Now, after she got shunned so many times by that camera head, Dorothy was over it. Dorothy was like, look, no, nobody wanted to be bothered with us. Nobody wanted to have nothing to do with them. As hard as they tried to be a part of everything that was going on. But when the Wiz requested to see the one with the silver slippers, then everything changed. And all of a sudden, everybody wanted to know who she was. One guy asked if he could take her home with him. Now, all of a sudden, these same people that nobody could care less about are suddenly the most important people in the room because the Wiz said so. And we see this play out in our pop culture every single day. We don't accept our people until they accept our people, until other people accept our people. And that is a problem for me. It really is. I've always had an aversion, me personally, I've always had an aversion to, this elitism kind of classist system that we have within the black community. And it's been a long time coming for me in terms of getting over that and really making peace with the reality that this is how we operate and that this is a part of our culture. I feel like we need to talk about it more, though. I feel like we need to communicate about the reality of what's going on in the black community. We are holding each other to a standard that is not our own. And there's nothing wrong with wanting more. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be better. But the determination of what better is, I think we need to revisit that. I think we definitely need to take another look, and we need to take some lessons and draw some lessons from the Wiz, because those people, the people of the Wiz, they were so enamored by the Wiz. They were so, allowing this entity, this person, this talking head to determine for them how they felt about themselves, how they saw themselves, where they spent their money. And he wasn't even real. He was the most or he lacked confidence more than anybody else in that movie. He was the last person that anybody should trust their life or their livelihood to. And yet, he was making all of the decisions. And this is where we find ourselves in life, in everyday life, in our community. And so I wanted to talk about this today because, I mean, I don't have all the answers, but I would like for us to at least begin the process of trying to find an answer for ourselves. Because I think at the end of the day, it's going to be different for everybody, you know? Finding comfort, finding peace with who you are, and making your own rules. I love, places like or gatherings like Afropunk and stuff like that, because I see some things that make me uncomfortable. I see things that make me like, oh, damn, that's different. And I love that. I love to see people living their lives and being who they are unapologetically. Right? So what we learned from the Wiz and from the Emerald City is that we have to take ownership of our own standards. We have to set our own standards, and we have to stop holding each other to these unnecessary and unrealistic standards that have nothing to do with us. Make peace with who you are. And then you'll attract the people who can accept you as is. All right? That's all I got for y'all today. I hope that resonated with you. I mean, talk to me. Let me know what your thoughts are about that. If you want to add to the conversation, definitely join me on Monday at 12:30 Eastern Time on Instagram Live for Unicorns Talk Back, okay? All right. Coming up next is High Five. All right, so I want to give a high five today to Ali. Ali is the bellhop that I met at the Sheraton Hotel when I was at the airport, when I flew into the airport. I'm giving him a high five because he really made me feel received and acknowledged and accepted. And so I just wanted to acknowledge him and give him a high five. I told him to listen to the show, so we'll see if he actually listens. So when I first got there, I got a phone call. I just wanted to take a shower. I just felt dirty. I had been traveling for like 18 hours at that point, and I was just ready to shower and get into bed, So I got a phone call while I was in the shower, and I'm like, well, who the fuck knows I'm in Germany? You know what I'm saying? So, and who knows this number that knows that I'm in Germany? So I answered the phone, and it was him. And it actually was a miscommunication of sorts because he had been told that I needed some additional support or something, like I was disabled or something, but it was actually somebody else that they were talking about. But he decided that he was going to come up and bring me like some bottled water and stuff like that. So he came to my room, and when he saw me, as soon as I opened the door, he acted like he was so happy to see me. And I was like, oh, okay. Hey, he was like, hey, how you doing? How are you? He's like, you're my family. You're my family. And I was like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I didn't know him. I'd never met this man before. I've never been to Germany before. So I was kind of confused about that. And so he came in and he was talking to me about, just how was your trip and this, that, and the other. And if you need anything, just let me know if you need anything. And I was like, okay. I'm still kind of like taken aback by it. I didn't understand it all. But I was kind of trying to go along with it. And he was like, yeah, he's like, you're my family. And he said to me, he said, I'm African too. Said, I'm from Morocco. And I said, oh. He said, yeah, I'm from Africa. He said, you from Africa. I said, well, I'm African American. And he said, yeah. He said, you're still African. You just don't know what part. And in that moment, I just felt like that said a lot to me, And I just couldn't stop smiling from that point on, because he acknowledged me, and he was so happy to see me and he was so happy to meet me. I mean, you would have thought that he was like my long lost uncle or something like that I haven't seen in 15 years or whatever, but just to have that acknowledgement, you're African just like me, you know, and to have him be so happy to see me in Germany, to meet me in Germany. And he said, whatever you need, I'm gonna take care of you. And he did. He brought me slippers. He asked me if I needed, if he wanted me to send somebody, if I wanted him to send somebody for to give me a massage. He sent me some water, some coffee. I mean, like, he really took care of me. And I never met this man a day in my life before that moment, because he saw me as his family. So I want to say high five to Ali and thank you for taking care of me my one night that I was in Frankfurt before I came down to my permanent location here in Germany. I appreciate you. And to all of the people, all of the Africans out there in the diaspora, like, thank you. High five to you. High five to us. I love melanin, and melanin is vibranium for real. I be trying to tell y'all, be trying to let the people know it's the vibranium. You know what I'm saying? It's the vibranium. Just get with it so we can all be happy and in a better place. So that's high five for today. And my reality check for today is really is going to be about the times when you prepare for things, and sometimes it's hard to be prepared enough. So what I mean by that is, when I was preparing to come to Germany, I was on a short time span or whatever, but I was trying to be aware of all of the different things that I would need and try to prepare, of course, for the weather and things like that. But there were some things that I did not prepare adequately for, that I didn't realize I had not prepared adequately for. You know what I'm saying? Like the internet. The internet sucks here. Like, it's really, really not good, or at least at the hotel where I'm staying at. And I wasn't prepared for that. I really wasn't. I just assumed, hey, it's Germany, it's going to be good. But I wasn't prepared for that. So that was an unexpected thing that came up that is now causing me to have to try to figure it out. And so it got me to thinking about how, when we are on our journey and we are moving through our journey, I'm always talking about preparing for as much stuff as you can prepare for. But there will be times that you're just not going to be prepared for things. There's going to be things that come up as you move through your journey that you were not expecting. And so you couldn't prepare for them because you didn't know that they were things that needed to be prepared for. And that's okay. Okay? That's okay. You're not going to be able to be as prepared as you would like to be for every single thing that you come up against. But that does not mean that you cannot still overcome those things. Because once you become aware of them, you have the tools that you need in order to then plan and prepare. And so I just wanted to, throw out that reality check for us today, in that, sometimes you have to call an audible. Sometimes you have to figure things out as you go. And sometimes your journey might be thrown off a little bit, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world. You figure that shit out and you keep pushing. So I'm figuring out my internet situation. I've already started looking into it. I'm figuring out this weather and all of that stuff, like the little things that I was not prepared for. I'm figuring those things out. That's all you can do, is keep going, keep trying. All right? Okay, so that's your reality check for today, and that is today's show. I want to give a shout out to Jaden Hollywood. I want to give a shout out to Stephanie, the Life Architect. Y'all make sure y'all check everything out. Unapologetic podcast. Check out the I Said No podcast, and Not Your Mama's podcast. You know what I'm saying? Hey, y'all. Hey to everybody. I also want to give a shout out to Social Complex podcast down in Houston. Hey, y'all. They did on their last week's episode, they talked about the live shows in Atlanta, and they said that they felt like I did the best, like if there was a ranking system that I would have come in first. And that meant so much to me. It really did. I don't even like have the words to really explain what that meant for me. So shout out to Social Complex for just all of the love and support. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all so much. I really, really do. And again, of course, shout out to a Pod Connection ATL and a Pod Connection Houston, which is coming up in 2019. All right. Make sure you register for my free Empower Your Vision Masterclass. Join my free Facebook group, Trust Village, and tune in to Unicorns Talk Back, my new IG live show, which is really like an additional segment to the show. It's going to be every Monday at I think I'm going to do it at 12:30 Eastern. It's going to be a recap of the previous episode, a sneak peek of upcoming episode, and just a chat. You know what I'm saying? We're just going to talk. I'm working on trying to get some live shows together while I'm here in Europe, and so I'm going to be letting y'all know about that as well. And make sure you follow me on all of the social medias on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Unicorns Talk Pod or you can follow me directly on Facebook and Instagram at Latrice Sampson Richards or on Twitter at L Sam Richards. All right? I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. And until next time, be well. Bye, y'all.